All right, you guys, thanks for joining our call today. My name is Julius Gilgur with FFL Republic, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about control and structure today. This is two of the most important elements, I believe, in an in-home presentation. This has really helped me elevate my performance going from about a 15K producer to becoming a Hall of Fame producer. So I'm going to share with you the two things and what I do to help me have control in the home and make sure that I have structure in every appointment. Okay. So I put together a little PowerPoint presentation. That way you guys can walk through this with me. So the first thing is, guys, when we're talking about control, you guys have to understand a few things. Number one, you are the professional. I'm the professional, right? So if you screw up and maybe you didn't say a word the right way, maybe you, it doesn't sound the way you wanted to, or maybe you're watching a training of Paul McLean or of Matt Smith, and you're trying to duplicate their style or whoever style it is. And you're like, man, I didn't say it the way they said it. That's okay. Your client doesn't know. All you have to remember is you are the professional and just be you. Okay. When I'm there, I'm just trying to be the best me I can be. And I'm doing my best to serve them. Okay. I'm not going to allow a client to push me around. Right. So if I'm in a home and a client says, hey, just show me the numbers. Well, listen, Bob, that's not how it works, okay? I have to ask you some questions to figure out what you're eligible for, but I promise you, I'll do everything in my power to help you find something that fits your needs and is affordable to you. Does that make sense? So when you say that, what that does, you guys, is it helps the client understand that A, you're a professional, B, you have a system and a process to follow, and that C, you've heard them, and you're gonna do everything you can to help them get what they need, which, they want to know the numbers, right? They want to cut to the chase, and that's okay. And, guys, when you're first starting off, you're not going to know the answer to every question. So if you don't know the answer to something, call your manager. But you can't lose control. And different ways that you can potentially lose control. Let me give you some pitfalls that I fell into. Number one is when you walk into the home, the client says, come sit on my couch. Let's sit right here. No, you don't just go sit on the couch. Hey, Bob and Mary, I'd love to sit on the couch, look super comfortable, but I just need a little bit more space to do some work. Do you have a table or a kitchen table we can use? Oh, yeah, sure. So you're going to push your way or make your way to the kitchen table. And if they say something like, oh, yeah, but, there's a bunch of stuff on it. Why don't we just sit over here? I can wait a moment. Go ahead and clean off the table. It'll make it easier for us, right? So you want to make sure you're stressing the importance of going to a table. You want to have a setting where you're actually trying to conduct business. Now, does that mean you're always going to go to a table? No. You want to go to a table 9 out of 10 times. Every now and then you're going to sit at a couch because maybe they don't have a table. But literally, they don't have a table. They just bought a house. They moved in. They want some insurance and they don't have a table. They have no furniture, but they want insurance. Guys, I literally had a lady like this a week ago. And I'm like, do you have a table? She's like, no, I haven't got any furniture yet. So that stuff happens, but that's not the norm, okay? So I want you to know, don't let customers push you around. Don't let them take you out of your rhythm or your process. And I'm gonna walk you through what that process should look like today, so that way you know what to expect when you're in a home and what that should sound like for you guys, all right? So control really starts with number one, posture. How do you present yourself? Are you leading the way, or are you kind of more timid and allowing them to lead? You can never allow your client to lead you, because you're there to do a job. If they're leading you, then who's really doing the job, right? It's kind of like, you heard Sean Mike say, like, use the doctor-client mindset, if you will, right? So if a client is a doctor-patient. So if the client is your patient, right, and you're the doctor and you walk in, are you telling the doctor what to do? No, the doctor's going to tell you, well, based on your diagnosis, here's the best solution to help get through this, whether it be medication, whether it be a procedure, a surgery, whatever, same deal here. Hey, based on your situation, this is best for you. So we'll talk about that, but you have to keep that mindset of, hey, I'm here and I'm here to do my job. Okay. So that's kind of the mindset when it talks about structure and what you want to look for and what you want to avoid. But the key to it all is you don't have to be perfect. Just be you. Understand that you have some things that you have to go through to kind of get to what the client is looking for, whether it's price, whether it's, whatever, but you have to remain in control, because the one thing that I'll tell you guys is this: if you lose control in your appointment, if they start leading the conversation, asking a bunch of questions, doing a bunch of, just taking you out of your rhythm, the chances of you actually helping that family drop dramatically. And so by keeping control of the appointment, you continue to move through the process of what needs to happen to make sure protection is put in place. And that's our ultimate goal in every home we sit with and every family we sit with. Okay. The next thing is understanding the situation. So you get to a table, right? Once you sit down at the table, what you're pulling out is the lead card first. You pull out the lead card, you slide it to the client, husband and wife, if they're married. If they're single, slide it to the individual, but you always want to slide it to the couple and ask, all right, who submitted this request, right? And you don't even have to ask who, but I like to if there's a couple. But the main question you want to ask first is, you're trying to understand why they submitted the request. So that would sound something like, Bob, what were you thinking when you submitted this request? And so that's getting the why out of them. Why did they do this, right? So you don't just want to say, why did you do it? But what were you thinking when you submitted this request? Because that's going to tell you their why. Oh, I wanted to make sure my house is paid off in case I passed away. Oh, I want to make sure that my family's protected. And there's some money behind in case I pass away. Oh, I want to make sure I'm not a financial burden, or whatever they tell you. They're going to give you some reason, something they were thinking about. A good follow-up question to ask is there someone that recently passed away that made you think of this? If you need to dig a little deeper, you don't always have to ask that, but that's a good follow-up question. So now they told you a response, right? Oh, we'll go with, I wanted to make sure I'm not a burden on my family when I pass. Okay. So Bob, if you passed away, who will be your beneficiary? Or who will be your beneficiary when you pass away, Bob? You want to get right to the meat of the conversation. Who are we protecting? Right? So you find out the why first, and then you find out the who. Then after you find out the why and the who, then it's important to understand what that would look like if they didn't do this. So if you passed away yesterday, Bob, what would the next 30, 60, 90 days look like for Mary? And you pause. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to draw out the emotion, but you're also trying to draw out what that's going to look like and why it's imperative that they have this, because most clients don't have this set up, or if they have some sort of protection in place, they don't have the protection they want and or need to cover their situation. And so it's understanding where the gap is. And so once you understand these three elements, you guys, why they submitted it, who they're trying to protect, and what that's going to look like without any protection, now you understand the situation. Now you're able to say, okay, I got it, Bob. Well, guess what? My job is to help you. And what do you think your client is thinking when you go through this? They're thinking you're taking the time to understand their needs. You're taking the time to understand them, and you really care, right? It's not about just making a sale. It's, who are we protecting? How is this going to benefit your client? How is this going to benefit their family? What is that going to look like, right? And then by telling them that you're going to help them, their guard is going to go down, right? So now their guard goes down, and now they become a little bit more open, right? And that's kind of the transition is, hey, now that I understand your situation, okay, got it. My job is to help you. So once you understand their situation, now it's just the setup, okay? And the setup is, there's a few key lines that you want to say to help you set up your structure in the home to make sure you have a successful appointment every time. So these are the things I say. Does it mean this is the only way to say it? By no means does it mean that. What this means is, this is what works for me. This is what has helped me close a ton of business. And this is a very simple way to create a structure for yourself to make sure you're communicating effectively with your clients and you're you're really foreshadowing what's going to happen with this appointment. And that's the key in the setup, you guys, is foreshadowing. So I was talking to an agent the other day on our team, and he was telling me he was having trouble closing. And so my initial question to him was, okay, what does your setup look like? And he was telling me like, hey, I got to ask you some questions. I got to figure out what you're eligible for. And then we'll go from there. Right? In not so many words. And I'm like, okay, well, are you telling them you're going to help them fill out an application at the end of the appointment today? And he says, no. And then I say, okay, well, why aren't you? And his response was he wasn't really confident. Right? And the thing is this isn't about a confidence thing. This is the process, right? Like you have to understand the confidence is in the system. The confidence is in the process, not in you. You're not that, like, I'm not that magical in all this. I'm not that, like, it doesn't take talent for me to say these things. I just learned it. So there's no difference for you guys watching today or in the future. It's just learning it and saying it to make it you and genuine, like we talked about before. And so I said to him, like, you have to tell them that you're going to apply for coverage when you're done, because if you don't tell them you're going to do that, they're not going to be ready for it. And then they're going to be uncomfortable because you didn't kind of give them a heads up. Right. And so you're kind of leading them to the promised land, if you will. So here's the way I set it up. I say, all right, Bob, got it. My job is to help you. I'm just a local field underwriter and a broker. I just need to ask you some medical and financial questions to determine what you're eligible for. Then I will show you the best possible options for you. Once we find out the best option for you, I will help you apply for coverage. I'm not the decision maker in any of this. So the companies are the decision makers. So we'll find out within about a week if you can get approved. If they approve you, great, you're covered. If not, then I'll come back and we'll look at another option. Does that make sense? And they say yes, right? And so now they understand that today, once they find the best plan for them, they're going to apply for coverage. Now, what does that do? And why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I don't want, at the end of me going through all this, for them to say, well, I don't want to apply for coverage. I'd rather know that on the front end, so I'm not wasting time. You want to know that on the front end, so you're not wasting your time, right? Remember that this is our business, right? So if we owned a restaurant, let's just say we owned a restaurant, someone walks in and I say, how can I help you? Or, table for two, table for three, how many people you have here? And they say, oh, I'm not sure. Like, okay, how can I help you? I don't know. Okay, are you hungry? I don't know. Okay, let me know if you are. You're not going to talk them into being hungry, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not talking people into being hungry. I walk into Subway, I want a freaking sandwich. You know what I'm saying? They set up an appointment. They want insurance. It's no different. They want insurance. So why not treat them the way they want to be treated? They're a buyer. And the more you sink that into your head and you understand that, the more you can just follow through with this and let it flow for you. And so that's really all it is, guys. Like, the structure is that simple. And while I'm explaining these simple things to them, I'm pointing at the credibility sheet. These are all the carriers that I work with. Okay. We're going to find the best one for you, the best possible option. And then we're going to go ahead and fill out an application for coverage. Does that make sense? And then what do you think they say? They say yes. And then I'll say, okay, great. Any questions before we begin? They say no. And then we start. And then I just go right into the appointment. And then you start just asking those questions. And so that's the key, guys, right? So when you're going through this, it's important to keep things simple. It's important to keep things very direct, and don't beat around the bush. And I'll tell you this from personal experience: if you're going to beat around the bush in your conversation, your clients won't buy. If you're very direct, you answer their questions head on, and you're confident in what you're doing, they will buy. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay. You can still be confident in knowing, hey, I can find out the answer. I can call a Julius. I can call a Clay. I can call an Erica. I can go to the in-home channel. I can go into group meet, right? We have all these different resources to help us. So that way, if you don't know the answer to a question, we're here to help you. Okay. So I hope that helps you guys. That's what you guys want to focus on. If you're having trouble closing deals, if you're getting a lot of, I want to think about it, if you are just not converting your appointments, I would focus on this right here, because as soon as I focused on control and structure, everything started to change for me and the business became a lot easier. Okay. So any questions before we kind of wrap up for today? That's the training that I wanted to provide. That's, the value I wanted to pour into some of you guys. And I hope this helps. If it helped and you don't have a question, go ahead and drop a fire emoji. Drop a fire emoji in the chat if that helps. But if you got a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and fire away.
Yeah, Julius, I got a quick question for you.
What's up, buddy?
I set an appointment with a client today who said on the phone that she doesn't make decisions quickly, and that she kind of takes a while to think about something. So I'm wondering how I can kind of best prepare to go through that and kind of, tell her how important this is to get coverage for her today, rather than just waiting a week for her to think about it.
Great. Yeah, you're going to get a bunch of people that want to think about it and or say, I don't want to make a decision right here and then, right? So the way you got to do it is, first off, you have to take it away. Hey, Mary, I completely understand. Keep in mind, I'm not the decision maker. So you and I can't even make a final decision today, even if we wanted to. So let me ask you this. Do you think a few days or a week is enough for you to make a decision? They're going to say a few days or a week, or you can even say, do you think a few days is enough time for you to make a decision? You can just, don't even give them the option. Do you think a few days will be enough to make a decision? They're all going to say, yes, that should be fine. Okay, great. So here's what we do, Mary. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and submit an application for coverage today. It's going to take the carriers a few weeks anyway to see if you can get approved. That's going to give you time to decide which of these options you actually want to go with. Today, if it makes you feel more comfortable, we can apply for the lowest amount of coverage. If you get approved, we can always increase your coverage. If you decide to change your mind, we can always go ahead and cancel that out. But at the end of the day, we can't even make a decision today anyway, because we don't know if you're approved. So let's go ahead and submit an application for coverage. And then at least we'll have a decision to make, knowing if you're approved or not. Does that make sense? And then they say yes. Now they may also say, well, I don't want to do that today. I don't, then you got to start to figure out what's the situation. Okay. Well, obviously you requested coverage for a reason, Mary. We talked about, you don't want to leave a financial burden on your family, right? Okay. So you realize if you don't get coverage, you're actually leaving a financial burden on your family, right? Okay. So is it just the amount is kind of more than you're comfortable with, or is it the coverage that you don't understand? I just want to make sure I'm covering all bases. Which one is keeping you from applying today? It's a little more than I want to do, Julius. Okay, no problem. So let's look at a few other options, and then I'll show her a few other options, and I'll go to close again. Okay, Mary. So of these options, which one makes the most sense for you and is most affordable that you're comfortable with? That one. But I don't know if I want to apply yet today. Okay, Mary. Now, we understand the coverage is affordable, right? And that coverage is enough for what you want to do? Yes. Okay. So usually people don't apply for coverage for one of three things. Either A, they can't afford it, B, they don't understand it, or C, they don't trust me. So you've told me it's affordable. You told me you understand it. Is it just me that you don't trust? And I wait. What are they going to say? No, I trust you, Julius. No, it's not you. I just don't know, right? I just don't know if I want it. Great. It's whether you want it or not is not up to me. That's up to you. But at this point in time, Mary, we don't even know if you can get approved. So let's see if we can get you approved. Now we can come back together and say, okay, you did get approved. Which one are you most comfortable with? And even if you chose not to go with it, that's also your decision. Does that make sense? So you hit it dead on, you give her options, you educate them, and you say that with confidence. That's how you want to approach that type of situation. So there's a few comments in here that some of the top producers are writing on the team. You guys should definitely read through that. But someone asked this awesome. Can you send us the text so we can memorize these phrases? Are you talking about, Aline, what I put on the PowerPoint? Control is something I definitely need to improve on. Claudia, this is simple. Literally just repeat those words. Just say them over and over. Record yourself saying them. If you guys want, a copy of this will be put up on YouTube later today. or first thing by tomorrow. We got to process it, download it, but it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow. I'll make sure I'll share it in the GroupMe. Another reason why you want to be in GroupMe, the links will be there. The trainings will be there as well. Riyadh says, we'll come through the more confident you get with going through the motion. So move fast, get through your first 100 appointments. Absolutely. Get through your first 100 appointments and confidence builds and all this becomes easier. Do you ever bring up the 30-day free look? I tend to not, Bruce. What I like to do is I like to tell them that. So if anyone doesn't know what the free 30-day look is, basically what that means is every client can cancel a policy within 30 days if they choose to. It's an insurance practice, right? So it will depend on how the situation goes, right? So going back to what James asked, hey, how do I do this if a person doesn't know if they want to make a decision? I will say, hey, we can apply, and then you can always adjust your coverage within 30 days. Now, if a person says, hey, can I cancel if I want to? I say, absolutely. Every insurance policy across every insurance company has a free 30-day look. So if you ever wanted to cancel, no matter who you applied with, you have 30 days to do that. So I do it more on a reactive basis rather than a proactive basis. Because if you proactively telling them about a free 30-day look, chances are you're going to remind them to cancel. So only reactive, but yes, hit it dead on the head if they ask. You can talk about free 30-day look, but focus on moving the coverage up or down and avoid the cancel if possible. See, Erica's a top producer for a reason, right? She's saying exactly what we're talking about. She learned it. Yes, a copy of that would be great. Claudia, that'll be in the YouTube channel. Let's see. You would have 30 days to cancel, to make any changes up or down. Don't ever say cancel. Yep. Yeah, so just avoid the cancel. Any other questions, you guys? Guys, this is that simple. It's really not that hard. Please do not overcomplicate this. I know we talk about buying leads, making appointments, going in the home, but there are pieces of this. Do you tell them that you will need the account information in the setup? Good question, Denise. I actually don't. I know a lot of clients that do, or a lot of agents that do. I actually don't ask or don't tell them that their account information is in the setup. It's pretty much implied when you tell them that you have to do an application, right? It's very rare that I run into a challenge of getting payment information when I've already told them that the application is going to be filled out at the end. I close a lot of these pushing out the effective date. Should I steer away from this? 100% steer away from post dates. Post dates are the devil. Okay. If you are writing business and you're post dating a majority of your business, you are definitely not helping your clients the best you can. What do I mean by this? So when I started, here's what I did. I said, I'm in the application and I go, all right, hey, Bob, when do you want your payment to start? What do you think everyone's going to say? Oh, a few weeks from now. What's the longest I can push it back? Right? No one wants to start paying, right? So don't ever ask when, okay? If you're having issues getting people to pay, it's because you're doing something incorrectly. Here's what I would do. So the way I get everyone to pay, I shouldn't say everyone, I'd say 95+% of every application I take pay on the spot or the same day. This is the way I do it every single time. So if you're having trouble with this, sounds like a few people have, this is a very simple tweak that will make a huge difference in the business that's put in place and that you're paid for. So number one, I say, okay, when I'm in the application, so let's say I'm in the application, I finished beneficiary, I finished all the other parts, I get to the payment information, right? So then I say, all right, Bob, now the way this works is if you get approved, we'll be notified and then we'll call you and your first premium will come out within 24 to 48 hours after approval. And then after that, it comes out every 30 days from there. That's it. I don't even give them an option. Now, some applications like Mutual of Omaha and a few other carriers give you an option to set the draft date outside of the initial one. Then in that scenario, I'll say, okay, after the first premium, when do you want this to come out every month? Now, not every carrier does that. For example, Americo doesn't do that. So I don't say that on Americo. On Americo, I just say, okay, if you're approved, your first premium will come out within 24 to 48 hours. After that, it'll just come out every 30 days. Very simple. They all say, okay, right? No big deal. And so that's all you have to do. So the key phrases and the way that is the way this works. So you're not giving them an option. You're telling them the way this works is if you get approved, your first payment will come out within 24 to 48 hours. Me and my team will call you as soon as we know if you're approved. If it's Americo, I'll usually call them the next day, maybe within 2 days. So I call them on my run days. If I sell something on Tuesday and Wednesday, I call them Thursday. If I sell them on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I call them Monday. So I do all my callbacks on my run days. So that way it's just a quick phone call. That's how I set up my business to do my admin work. So that way I sell on the days I sell, I call and do all my other stuff on the days that I'm in the office. So I hope that helps. All right. There's another question that was dropped in here. I love these questions, guys. If you have questions, please keep dropping them. I'm not sure who this is, but they said from fflagencycall.com, which is this website. So whoever you are, next time change your name so I know who I'm answering, but all good. What is the mix of leads should I do for my first time? So the best way to answer your question is this. Number one, let's set a budget. I would say call me or call one of the managers you work with. If you work with Erica, Clay, or anyone else. Oh, Eric, hey, what's up, bud? So let's talk, let's get on the phone. But the first thing you need to do is let's set a budget. What I tell everybody, guys, is if you really want to take this serious, you want to have enough leads to start, you should start with no less than $1,000. If you can't do it, I understand. I mean, obviously everyone has their own financial situation and we'll talk through that and figure out what's the best mix for you, but no less than $1,000 to start your business. This is not a job. This is your business. You got to remember that. And that $1,000 will make you a big return on your investment. But that's the first thing I would say, Eric. And then we'd get on a phone call. We do a lead strategy call. And generally speaking, you're probably going to start with 2 lead types. One is going to be instant or some sort of internet lead. And then 2, you're going to grab brand new Facebook final expense leads. So your primary lead source is going to be your Facebook final expense leads. Your supplemental leads are going to be leads out of the CRM, which are either instant or second chance leads. And I can help you with that for your first lead order. So just let's talk later today, Eric, and I'll help you with that. Denise asked, if they get approved with a higher amount, do you tell them? I'm assuming, Denise, you haven't been in the field yet, and that's okay. But the answer is no, to kind of give you a simple answer. And what I mean by that is you don't find out when they're approved, how much they're approved. They either get approved or declined. It's either yes or no. So when you're showing them options, you always want to show them the max amount that they're eligible for, and then a few other options. So for example, if you're showing them whole life, you give them 3 options. The top option should always be their max eligibility. And the way I say it is, hey, I'm required by the state to show you what the maximum benefit that you're eligible for. And then I show them that. And then here are 2 other options that may be good fits for you. And I explain those. And then they choose one. So whichever one they choose, then from there, you're going to say, okay, now let's see if we can get you approved. Go ahead and grab your driver's license and a voided check, and we'll submit an application. We'll know back within about a week if you can get approved. And then when you get an approval, they're just going to say approved or declined, not a higher amount or anything like that. Okay. So I hope that helps, Denise. And then I also don't, when I call them for approval, I don't ask if they want to change their coverage. I go with what they picked the first time. Don't second guess their decision. Just that would help you. That potentially would cause the loss of a deal, because now you're having to resell it. Once it's sold, the application is in, just call them for approval. Even if you said we can change it up or down, let them make that decision. Don't bring that up to them. Does that make sense, you guys? Drop a thumbs up if that makes sense. So just little tips that have really helped me, guys, is you don't want to open up like Pandora's box, especially once you've made that sale. So that's really what you're trying to do. You want to keep it simple. provide a solution, submit an application. Whatever they choose that's what you're moving with, unless they tell you otherwise. All right, Riyadh had a question here. When we set up appointments, we are basically targeting one person. When we get into the home and there are several family members, how do you pull out extra premium and get more people protected? Good question. So I recently did this, Riyadh. I had a family of, I don't know, there was like 5 or 6 people sitting around, and it felt kind of like bombarded almost. But it was cool because like they were just a cool family, but their situation was really different. I walked in and they just bought a house, and there was a bunch of family members living in there, and there was the primary people on the mortgage, and then there were secondary people that were living there that were paying rent. And so you ask questions to really understand the situation, Riyadh. Who's all living here? Do you guys pitch in on the mortgage or the rent? What percentage of the expenses does that person chip in with, right? Do you have coverage today? Do you already have coverage? No. So if something happened to you, that would impact them as well, right? Yes. Okay. So it's important we probably get you something too. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's just things like that. Have you thought about getting your kids protected? A children's policy is the cheapest way to get someone protected for as long as they live. Have you thought about, putting some coverage in place for your kids or grandkids? You can do things like that. Obviously, accidental, everyone's heard how you can add accidental to any type of plan to create legacy protection, right? So, hey, if you pass from a natural death, this will pay out $100,000. Well, you can stack coverage, right? So let's just say you're doing a whole life or a term, but maybe you have a budget that you need to fit, and the client wants more coverage than they can get price-wise. So you can add accidental to any type of plan and give them coverage in the event that happens. Meaning, hey, if you die from any natural causes, not only will this term pay out of $100,000, but we also have an accidental of an extra $200,000, which will pay a total of $300,000 if you pass in the event of an accident, car accident, slipping in the tub, some unfortunate event, something happened, right? Maybe you had surgery, stitches popped, and now you have internal bleeding and you pass, right? So you pass from that. So anything that happens accidentally that causes you to die will pay out. Both of these will pay out in the amount of this. So those are different ways to add extra premium. And if you guys need help in a specific situation, you think there's other opportunities to help other clients in the home, just call your manager. We can help you there. How do you pull up prices during the presentation? I've had trouble in the past where I'm putting in the info and I'm writing them down. They look and go, oh no, or make some remark. Is there a better way to get all the options to show them? For example, I'm going with Miracle. Honestly, Mario, like if they look at the paper, they look at the paper. And if they say, oh no, I'm just like, just give me a minute to explain. Like, I don't care what they're saying when they're looking at the numbers, because chances are it's upside down, right? And I'm not trying to hide anything. Don't ever try to hide your paper or just like, that just looks weird, right? Like I did that when I started, like, oh my God, I don't want them to see these options before I explain it to them. Like, oh no, right? Like I did one of the, like I'm over here, like doing this, don't do that, right? So don't do that. Just write it down. If every client's going to be doing this thing, what's he doing? What's he writing over there? How much is it? Oh shit, that's a little, like they're doing that, right? Let them do it. It's cool. But then just remember, you're in control. And when they say it's too much, you have other ways you can go, right? So if they're like 20, 15K is too much of America, show them less, or maybe another carrier that you can take off the accidental, right? But don't worry about pulling up prices. I would just pull them up, write them down, top down selling, your top option at the top, middle in the middle, bottom on the bottom, turn it around, show them their options, and just unemotionally, doesn't matter what they do. You say, okay, guys, now I don't know if you can get approved, but if you could, which one of these options make the most sense for your protection and affordability? Or word it any way you want to word it, but you got to ask it in the form of a question. Which one makes the most sense for your protection? And you're just quiet and let them pick one. And then once they pick one, just assume it. Okay, great. Now I'm going to help you fill out an application. Just go ahead and grab your driver's license and avoid a check, and we'll see if we can get you approved. And then most clients are gonna be like, oh, voided check. Who has voided checks? All right, just grab your banking information. We need your routing and account number, and I'll go ahead and help you submit an application. Like, I don't care which one they pick. You shouldn't care which one they pick. You just got to make sure they pick one. Okay? Because if they don't pick one, that's where the problem is. And sometimes I'll drop little nuggets in the appointment. Hey guys, just so you know, there's only one wrong decision you can make today. That's not making a decision or not picking an option. Outside of that, as long as you're putting some coverage in place, something is better than nothing. Wouldn't you agree? They say yes. Okay, great. So now you've eliminated them not making a decision by saying that, and then you show them their options. So that's another way of doing it that I've done it. Any other last things before we wrap up today's call, you guys? All right. Guys, a lot of great stuff, a lot of good things happening on our team, a lot of good things happening for you guys. I love seeing all your guys' success. I love seeing the leaderboard grow. I love seeing people change their lives and make $6,000 in a weekend, make 10 grand in a weekend. This is powerful. And if you guys are not sharing this opportunity with people you know, or just in general, you guys are literally missing on a huge opportunity to not only help people, but literally change your income just by telling folks. Just expose them to the opportunity. So I hope this helped you guys. I hope this will help you with your clients in the future. If there's anything I can do to help you, give me a call, shoot me a text, reach out to us. Let's go out there. Let's crush you guys. Take care. Have a great Monday.